All right, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. This morning. Excuse me. Appreciate it as always. Give me 2 seconds to figure something out. Yo, this getting old shit, man, is for the birds, by the way. I can't see bullshit. I fucking can't stand it. All right. So I'm on Rumble as well. Was giving it a shot, and it seems to be working on Rumble. Ozark Prepper, Flown Grown, thank you for the donation. Southern Tier Prepper, Dobie, Base, Coffee, thank you for 5x5. Amanda, Jim, Sarita, thank you for the 5x5. Let's go 1 second after. Eric, Cat Lady, thank you for the 5x5. Bad Botter, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a while, or at least haven't noticed you in a while. Thank you for the 5x5. Master Blaster, Mitch, Joseph, thank you for the 5x5. Cowboy, thank you for the 5x5. All right, guys. So, there's a couple of interesting articles I ran across. Two of them by accident, actually. And I was a little, not surprised, but very interesting that these two things are happening. And we're going to talk about that a little later this morning. First article we're going to go over. Actually, one of the articles is very interesting, and the way the guy achieved his goal for creating something, I think it's going to shock a lot of you. I was impressed. But anyway, first of all, we're going to talk about this shit going on in India, right? So India strikes Pakistan as tension between nuclear-armed neighbors following terror attack reaches fever pitch. Now, I have to say that the title of this article feels very fear-mongery to me. Only because the way they state India strikes Pakistan as tensions between nuclear-armed neighbors. Now, I take that as them throwing the word nuclear-armed neighbor, or the phrase nuclear-armed neighbors, so that they can get more people scared of one another. Though I'm scared of the whole situation, these two states do hate each other, and I could see one or the other using nukes on each other. I could definitely see that. So anyway, and the story starts in Muzaffarabad, Pakistan, and New Delhi. India attacked 9 sites in Pakistan, Kashmir on Wednesday, with at least 3 deaths reported, and Pakistan said it was mounting a response as the worst fighting in years erupt between the long-standing enemies. Now, there was a video going on where I think it was in India. The guy was ziplining, and you can hear AK fire in the background. And it seems like as the guy got to the other side, he realized what was going on. India is holding Pakistan responsible for that. So, and there were other things that happened prior to that incident as well that started leading there. I think this shit started last year, if not 2 years ago. There was little like tit for tatty kind of shit going on. U-turn. So anyway, 50 is bad, 55 is worse. Who just turned 50? Well, whoever turned 50 recently, happy birthday. I don't turn 50 till another 2 years. All right, armies of a nuclear... Again, look how it's titled. Armies of a nuclear-armed neighbor exchanged intense shelling, heavy gunfire across their frontier in disputed Kashmir in the last 3 places, police and witnesses told Reuters. India's offensive occurred amid heightened tension in the aftermath of an attack on Hindu tourists in India, Kashmir last month. Islamist assassin killed 26 men in April 22nd attack. Worst such violence targeted at civilians in India in nearly 2 decades. So this shit hasn't happened in 20 years. Pakistan said India launched missiles at 3 places, but Indian government did not detail the nature of the strikes. India said it struck terrorist infrastructure where where attacks against it were planned and directed. India TV channel showed a video of explosion, fire, and large plumes of smoke in the night skies and people fleeing in several places in Pakistan and Pakistan, Kashmir. I don't understand this Pakistan, Kashmir shit, so I'm going to look into it when I'm done with the video. Routers could not independently verify the footage. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said Islamabad was responding to Indian attack, but not in the provided detail. U.S. President Donald Trump called the situation a shame and added, "I hope it ends quickly." This shit ain't ending quickly, not even by a long shot. An emergency was declared in Pakistan's populous province of Punjab. Its chief minister said hospitals and emergency services were on high alert, or aka standby. Pakistan says 2 mosques were hit. Pakistan military spokesman told broadcaster Geo that the site struck by India included 2 mosques and said that there had been at least 3 deaths and 12 people injured. That's not bad considering. Pakistan's defense minister Khawaja Mohammad Asif told Geo that all sites targeted by India were civilian and not military camps. He said India fired missiles into its own airspace, from its own airspace, and Indians claimed targeting camps where terrorists were false. All right, sorry. Trying to read the chat at the same time. This chat is fairly calm versus my night chats, which are like always out of control. Which I do appreciate, by the way. Anyway, news of strike hits India's stocks future with the benchmark NSE Nifty 50 index falling 1.9% at the Gift City Financial Center. After the explosion, power was blacked out in Muzaffarabad, the capital of Pakistan, Kashmir, witnesses said. India blamed Pakistan for the violence last month in which 26 men were killed and vowed to respond. Pakistan denied that it had anything to do with the killing and said it had intelligence that India was planning to attack. That doesn't make any sense. We didn't have anything to do with this attack, but we're gonna attack you guys. That doesn't make any sense. India blames Pakistan. The name of India military operation Shindur is an apparent reference to the women who lost their spouse in the attack in Hindu tourists in Pahalgam last month. So, needless to say, guys, this shit that's going on in India seems to be getting worse, and it'll probably, I think, come to a head in the summer. So we're only a couple of months away, but I think that things are going to get well out of control come this summer over there. Now, whether or not they go to nuclear, I don't know. I can't tell you that. I could almost guess that they might, just based on how they're talking about each other and their language. I think they could. Am I going to sit here and be like, we're all going to die? No, we're definitely not all going to die. Could this lead to a grand nuclear war? I don't think so. I don't think these 2 countries are important enough for us to go down that road. That is my opinion. Now, if you listen to other channels, this is going to spark off the Third World War, and we're all going to be glowing in the dark by the end of the summertime. So there is that. People have to keep that in mind, that other channels are going to blow this up well out of proportion. I don't think we're going to be remotely close to that kind of actions. Again, small arm nukes might be used. I know that if there is serious talks about nuclear usage, both Russia and the United States, and maybe even China, will jump in and be like, yo, hold off on it. But I definitely think we're going to see some interesting shit come the summertime in regards to those 2 countries. We just have to wait and see. Now, and am I nervous about this going nuclear? Not at all. Being nervous is for bitches. But anyway, Next story, I'm going to jump around on this story a little bit, but this is something that's been going on here in New York. This is 7 children in New York City died in abusive homes because of progressives, saying that it's racist to save them. Now, I heard this before. I thought they were kidding. I thought the liberals were legitimately kidding about having people save black kids and taking them out of their home, which is a dangerous home, and calling that a separation, just like slavery. There was some regard to that a couple years ago. And then, about a year ago, I heard someone saying taking kids out of the household of black families is racist. And I'm like, well, what if that kid's in danger? Okay, so now there's an article saying 7 children died in abusive New York City homes because progressives said it's racist to save them. Who wants to work in the administration of children's services? Almost no one, apparently. According to the Post report this week, the agency is struggling to retain employees, with almost 30% of its agency's staffing having less than a year on the job. This is hardly surprising, dominated by progressive ideology that leaves children in unsafe home and a leadership that is withholding information about what's going wrong from the public, meaning ACS. ACS is caught in a cycle of failure. ACS has been a failing agency here in New York City for the last, 40-something years since I was a kid. Now, ACS will visit your home for the dumbest things. My son said something about having a bazooka. My dad has a bazooka, something in that regards. And ACS visited my home because he said that. Of course, I cursed out the teachers because I'm like, first of all, no one has a bazooka. Like, a bazooka's not a thing. No, matter of fact, sorry, wrong one. He stated that I had knives. That's what it was. And I collect knives. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a bazooka. Somebody else, the bazooka store was somebody else. And I remember talking to the parent about that, and the parent said something about a bazooka, and I was like, yeah, no one has a bazooka anymore. Not the point. So anyway, he said I had knives, and they visited us on that statement. And I was like, yes, I have knives, and no, they're not here. They're in the storage unit. And that because I was in the process of moving them. And I said I do have 2, and they're camping knives. I said, I don't see the problem. So anyway, they visit for that because I had camping knives in my home. Now, my son didn't know the difference whether they were camping knives or just knives, but nonetheless, they visited that. ACS lets kids die on a annual basis. I don't know how many. I think it's like something anywhere between 8 to 10 a year or 8 to 15 a year die because ACS fails to do their job. Now, ACS is failing to do their job because people start pointing fingers at ACS agents going, you guys are racist for taking this black child out of this home. As a firefighter, I have been to some fucked up homes, like some really bad, ACS should be involved in this. And I don't know how ACS can visit my home, which is clean, there's food in the fridge, because they check everything. They check to make sure you have food in the fridge. They talk to the kids separately, like you're fucking beating the kids. It's this whole long, drawn-out process, which is only like one visit. They said that they would visit multiple times, but after the one visit, they never came back. But these kids are living in squalor. These kids have roaches, rats, garbage, dirty home, smells like shit, and somehow these kids stay there. Now, I get it that there are too many of these cases throughout the city and there's not enough agents to cover it. But the fact that, for example, the 4-year-old girl who was found, she was 5 or 4, she was found eating chocolate because her mother and her brother both passed away. This was last month. And the girl survived off of chocolate. I can guarantee you this kid will never eat chocolate ever again. But her mother apparently had an asthma attack. And her mother was a psych patient, by the way. Let me backtrack a little bit with that. Her mother was a psych patient that had psych issues. Her mother had an asthma attack and passed away. I bring up the psych issue part because psych patients should not be raising kids, period. If you have any kind of mental instability, you should not be watching kids. All right. So now she has asthma attack. She dies from the asthma attack. Her 8-year-old son, who is severely disabled and wheelchair bound and bedridden, depends on the day, has a feeding tube. The feeding tube needs to be changed out and he needs to be fed via that tube. Now, if the 5-year-old girl could have figured that out, she'd probably still have her brother. But that doesn't fall upon her. That doesn't fall upon her. Anyway, about 2 weeks goes by, or a week and a half goes by, before anybody checks on the family, and that winds up being the sister of the kid. And the sister of the 8-year-old brother, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, they come by and they find this horrific scene. They find both bodies in decomposition, and then they see the 8-year-old girl sitting on a bed eating chocolate. Meanwhile, they heard her crying for a couple of days, but the neighbors didn't put 2 and 2 together. And ACS should have looked at this situation and goes, you're a psych patient, you got a disabled kid, and we got to take this out of the household. Now, I get that they don't want to split families apart, because splitting families apart can be detrimental to the families. But look what happened now. Now the 4-year-old girl, if I'm not mistaken, is being taken care of by the grandfather, which the grandfather should have stepped in a long time ago. But that didn't happen. Anyway, working for Child Protective Services has never been an easy job. Frontline caseworkers see awful things. Children who have been severely beaten, burned, raped, or starved to death. Think about the 4-year-old girl, Jamika Madine, starved to death in a home full of food with a refrigerator turned to face the wall so that he and his 3 siblings could not access food. Imagine that. A 6-year-old, Jalea Eston Branch, whose mother beat her while she was hung from her wrist in a closet. This is the kind of shit that goes on. But yet I have a couple knives and they want to visit my home. Anyway, imagine turning the refrigerator to face the wall so your kids couldn't eat. Child Protective Specialist said officials come into contact with some of the worst aspects of human nature. Which, the flip side of that, guys, is that the flip side of that whole thing also is that you can see some shit as a caseworker and be like, I'm done. And probably develop PTSD, even though they were talking about the 4-month-old get back to PTSD from the event. Yeah. You can definitely you can definitely develop PTSD as a caseworker, seeing the shit that you're seeing on a daily basis. I think my ex-wife did that for a little bit. She was going from home to home. She was she wasn't an ACS agent. She was another agency. I think she went around checking up on mentally ill children, right? I guess it's part of ACS, but it wasn't the same thing. But anyway, she did that for a little bit, and she had to back away from that. And she's an asshole. She's a piece of shit, if you ask me. But she's also tough as nails in that regard, and she couldn't even hack it. So. Sorry. The store evil in the face and... ACS stares evil in the face and they don't look away. But they do the job for the same reasons as police officers, firefighters, and EMS. Because they want to help. But they want to rescue children from these intolerable situations. Now, I've, again, come across a lot of these situations. Normally the cops are there and we don't have to do anything about it. The cops file a report, takes it to the ACS, and then probably about a week or 2 later, something's done about it. In a lot of cases, these situations are self-inflicted by the parents. The parents put their kids in a situation and refuse to do anything about it. More than 2,000 children in the country die from abuse and neglect each year. Black children are 3 times more likely to suffer this fate as their white peers. I don't know why they make this a white and black thing, but here they go. They always make it a white and black thing. It should just be a child thing, not a white and black thing. Nonetheless, guys, this situation here in New York City, and rather nationwide, is a constant issue. Can something be done? Yes. There should definitely be more done in regards to protecting their kids. These kids. Up to 90% of families involved in child welfare systems nationwide are dealing with some kind of substance abuse problem, and many are suffering from significant untreated mental illness. Lisa Cotton, diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, had ACS case pending when she and her 8-year-old disabled son, Nazir, were found passed away in their apartment last month. That's the family I was talking about. You should not have if you have schizophrenia and bipolar, you shouldn't be in charge of kids. Period. But this is where we are. We're fucking sitting here telling people or convincing people that these people need to raise their kids. Bipolar parents and schizophrenia is a bad mixture. And even one or the other is still bad. A parent that's bipolar on meds or a parent that's schizophrenic on meds should not be raising kids. And then you have both as a combination. You think that's a good idea? It's because of the progressives. It's because of these liberals in New York City that are killing these kids. It's the liberals in this country that are causing these kids to pass away. The liberals, the progressives, the people doing the right thing. These are the reason why these kids are passing away. No other reason why. You can't blame Trump. You can't blame Adams. Well, you could blame Adams. You definitely could blame Adams. You could definitely blame these Democratic mayors for doing what they're doing to these kids. Because they are failing the kids. Not Trump, not the Republicans, not the racists out there in the world burning cross on somebody's lawn halfway across the fucking nation. The liberals in this country are killing the kids. Period. They sit there and they go to Planned Parenthood and they sit there and protest and like abortion should be a thing. So not only are they for abortion and killing of kids, they're also for this, I would call it, and yes, it's a long stretch, this third-term abortion that they're promoting because they're allowing kids to pass away in such a manner. And they're allowing kids to pass away in a horrific manner. When ACS goes to these homes and they look around, I'm like, yo, there's too much dirt in that corner of the room. I'm taking your kids out of here. That's it. You better have a clean fucking household. The kids better not look like fucking Mobutu. I better not see their fucking ribs. I would bring a doctor along with me so that they can do examinations. If I looked at this kid and I go, why is his eyes and his ribs showing, and why is his eyes sunken? Get him out of here. Done. There's no argument. There's no fucking and any kind of don't take my kids. Fuck you. Bing bing. I'd be like, yo, we're gonna start smacking the shit out of these parents. We're gonna start beating the balls off of them, and then we're gonna take their kids and put them in fucking ACS. That's what needs to be done. Nothing else. No other discussion about racism. No other discussion about breaking up a black family. They already destroyed their black family when they killed that kid. And then the rest of the surviving kids have to be broken up and thrown into the system. This is the kind of shit that we allow. Yet, we're worried about bullshit. We're worried about Diddy's list that's never coming out. We're worried about Epstein's list that's never coming out. We need to focus on the real problem, and that's this shit right here. Anyway, moving right along. This is a nicer, family-friendly article. A supercomputer figured out when all life will end on Earth. Isn't that some shit? NASA scientists, in collaboration with researchers from Japan University of Toho, have used a supercomputer to model the far future of Earth's habitability, meaning when Earth will no longer be habitable. Their findings offer a clear and if distant timeline for the end of the planet, or the end of life on our planet. According to the study, the sun will be ultimate cause of the end of Earth. Wow. End of all life on Earth. Over the next billion years, we don't even fucking be here for that, its output will continue to increase gradually, heating up the planet beyond the threshold of life. The researchers estimate that life on Earth will end around 1 billion years. 1,002,000 years. What the fuck? When the surface conditions become too extreme to support even the most resilient organism. But the decline will begin much earlier. Okay, there you go. As the sun grows hotter, Earth's atmosphere will undergo significant changes. Oxygen levels will fall, temperatures will rise exponentially, and air quality will worsen. These shifts, projected through the detailed climate change and solar radiation models, mapped out when life on Earth will end, not as a sudden collapse, but as a slow, irreversible decline. Now, talking about climate change is bullshit, but talking about the sun's output, that's where that makes more sense. But keep dragging climate change into some shit we can't do anything about. Because if the sun's output is the problem, there ain't nothing we can do. We just got to move to another planet. Anyway, signs of this transformation are already being observed. Solar storms and coronal mass ejections have increased in intensity, with the most powerful storm in 20 years recently recorded. These phenomena affect Earth's magnetic field and reduce atmospheric oxygen, giving scientists a glimpse into the long-term effects described in the model. At the same time, human-driven, here we go with the bullshit. Hang on to your fucking knickers, guys, because this is the bullshit. At the same time, human-driven climate change is compounding planetary stress. Rising global temperatures, melting polar ice are accelerating faster than previously projected, suggesting environmental conditions may become more difficult far earlier than I really need glasses, man. I'm fighting this tooth and nail. Far earlier than billion-year benchmark. Now, here's the bullshit. They said that climate drift is compounding the planetary stress. They also said that the melting of the polar ice caps and rising global temperatures is accelerating faster than previously projected. That is bullshit. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think Al Gore said that we were going to be on the fucking water in 2025. Or maybe 2020. It is now 2025, and here we go. I don't understand. This is the bullshit that they keep pushing. They keep saying that we're the cause of climate change, but yet here we are. Back before the sun cooks the earth. Yeah, I guess. But this earth cooking shit, it's either or, man. It can't be both. It can't be us causing the climate change and then the sun getting hotter. It just can't. I don't understand the ideology behind that, but whatever. Others look beyond Earth entirely. Plans of long-term space colonization, including Mars missions led by NASA and SpaceX, are being explored as potential strategies for preserving human life once Earth becomes inhospitable. Oh, whatever, man. Seriously, what the fuck ever. All right. So, 2 articles that I'm not going to get completely into, but I'm going to jump around on. This one is what I was telling you, which I thought was pretty cool. Survivor of 200 snake bites and a coma gives his blood to create the ultimate antivenom. A scientific breakthrough could reshape how the world responds to deadly snake bites. Now, hold on, real quick. I just saw a YouTube video yesterday, or the day before yesterday, where a lady was bitten by a snake while she was gardening. I think this is in Arizona. I think it was Arizona or Texas, one of the two. And anyway, she gets bit by a snake while she's gardening. Her sister pulls her away. The husband drives her to the hospital. Her sister was a nurse, checks out the bite. It was her sister-in-law, checks out the bite, goes, yes, you got a snake bite, starts to see bruising around it, and states that, yes, the snake injected venom. The husband drives her to the hospital, and with that, the fuckery begins. She gets to the hospital, the doctors, or the poison control, because, if I'm not mistaken, to give antivenom, the doctors have to call poison control. For whatever reason, poison control said no, don't give her the antivenom. They go, okay, and then they start treating the problems as they start arising. Respiratory issues, heart issues, things like that. So anyway, she started to recover, and that's what the body does, right? The body floods you with all of these, oh my God, like adrenaline into the body, which appears to show recovery. But that's not the case. Your body is getting this shock of, I guess, like adrenaline, which appears for you to be recovering, and then you're not. And then she wound up dying. Anyway, the husband wound up suing the hospital, and then he won a bunch of money, but that wasn't the point. The point was he lost his wife because the hospitals refused to give her the antivenom. Anyway, this guy, a scientific breakthrough could reshape how you respond to deadly snake bites. Thanks to the antibody found in the blood of a man who has spent nearly 20 years building immunity to snake venom, the ultimate snake antivenom could be well underway. Tim Fredry, a former mechanic from the U.S., has been self-immunizing by injecting himself with carefully prepared dose of venom from some of the world's deadliest snake. Over the years, he has withstood more than 200 actual snake bites and over 700 injections, enduring near fatal coma in the process. What began as an effort to protect himself while handling snakes for his YouTube channel has evolved into a mission to help develop a safer and more effective treatment for others. Antivenom can be effective, but they require you to match them to a specific species responsible for biting you. With more than 600 venomous snakes globally and come on, man. Sorry, I had a dirt on my thing. Regional differences, even with the same species, this approach is difficult to scale and often inaccessible in the area where the bites are most common. Researchers have long sought what many consider the ultimate snake antivenom. A broadly effective treatment can work against multiple species and venom types. Now that search had led biotech company, oh shit, here we go. Now that search has led biotech company Sinovac and scientists in Columbia University to Fried, whatever the hell his name is. After analyzing his blood, they identified two broad neutralizing antibodies that could target key components of the neurotoxins produced by Elaps snakes, which include cobras, kraits, mambas, and taipans, if I said that right. Elaps snakes? I never heard that. Elap snakes. Elapid snakes. Still never heard of it. After analyzing his blood, they identified So, these antibodies combined with the third component formed a cocktail tested in mice that offered full protection against lethal dose from 13 to 19 leopard species tested and partially projected protection against the rest. The finding, published in the journal Cell, represents a significant advance towards the development of the ultimate snake antivenom, especially from elapid bites, which are often fatal due to respiratory paralysis. Now, venomous snakes, if I'm not mistaken, especially rattlesnakes, don't always inject poison into you when they bite. Sometimes they bite you as a warning, and then the second bite is the venomous bite. Now, the lady that passed away in the hospital, the snake never gave her any warning. There was no rattling. It didn't coil itself. It didn't raise itself up. It just, from its laying position, jumped at her and bit her in the hand. So the nurse or her sister-in-law was a little confused as to why the snake did that, because most snakes have characteristics of doing certain things before they bite, and this snake did neither of that. So they were a little confused as to why that happened. Now, This is the last story that I wanted to get out there because I read this shit and I go, here we go. This, guys, is this is the start of something bad. So just follow me. I'll probably do a separate video on it, or I might not. I don't know yet. But this is definitely the start of something not good. New York City is exploring AI-like Minority Report to predict crimes before it happens on the subway. In a move that sounds straight out of the movie Minority Report, New York City is looking into testing a new AI subway camera system that could predict dangerous behaviors on subway platforms before anything actually happens. Now, let me stop right there. That means you would have to have a sufficient amount of cops in the subways for this to work. The MTA is currently piloting an AI-powered system to identify early signs of trouble in real time. These systems are designed not to recognize faces, but to detect behavior from erratic movements to signs of distress or agitation that could be signaled as a brewing incident. Now, they have these cameras, or they had these cameras already in Vegas. They've had these cameras in Vegas to see whether or not a person's cheating. They look at their body temperature, facial recognition kind of deal, whether their expression is genuine or not. They've been dealing with this for a little while. Now, that was first seen in the movie Ocean's 13, the one with Al Pacino. And the technology came out, I think, a year or two later, whatever it was. And it tries to figure out if a person's cheating or not just based on their emotions. So this is going to do the same thing, but this is bad because you could just be minding your business and they're going to hem you up. And even if they record it and they stop it, what would be their grounds from stopping you from doing anything? Because you might have done something. They thought they thought that you were going to do something based on an AI program. This is going to open up a can of worms that the MTA will not be able to get away from. They just won't. They stop me in the train and they go, "Sir, excuse me, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Why the fuck are you stopping me?" "Oh, well, they have to give you the reason. If they give you the reason, oh, we thought you were going to put somebody in the train tracks." What does that look like? How does that even fucking sound? That sounds stupid coming out of my mouth right now. We thought you were going to put somebody in the tracks. Anyway, according to MTA Chief Security Officer Michael Kemper, the goal is predictive prevention. That's the term they're using, which allows for a rapid response for security or police before an incident escalates. Now, the MTA is toying with a new group of people called MTA Security. They don't have guns. They don't have nightsticks. I don't even think they wear vests. They walk around the train station with their security vests, making sure things are okay. And then what? And then you get punched in the face? Like, it's the dumbest position they're trying to create. They should just hire more MTA police officers. But whatever. And it's about watching for warning signs. If the subway's AI camera system flags someone acting irrational, like the human can do, it could trigger an alert that prompts intervention. Kemp noted that the agency is currently working with a tech firm to determine what systems can realistically work in often chaotic subway environment. Again, people just need to be Johnny on the spot. That's what it is. They're saying that they want to watch the people being erratic. I could look at a guy on the other side of the platform and go, that dude's being erratic. My eyes, they're not AI. I'm trained I am trained to notice these things. But most people, just out of fucking not wanting to be pushing the train track, notices someone erratic coming down the fucking thing. He's all like, acting like a fucking asshole and shit. You're like, that guy's acting like an asshole. I'm going to get out of his way. Done. You don't need AI-based camera to do this shit. Anyway, the fuckery with this fucking article. Let me get fucking... Alright, this new subway camera marks the next phase of evolving strategy. In 2023, the MTA revealed its use of AI to monitor fare evasion, tracking where, when, and how riders are skipping payment. This latest step pushes the boundaries further, tapping into AI potential for real-time decision support in public. MTA officials have reportedly said that this new system of AI subway cameras will not use facial recognition. A spokesperson said that they want to be very clear that the system is being used to watch behavior, not people. Who the fuck are you watching if it's not fucking people? Who's behaving badly on trains? People. How the fuck do you watch behavior? Oh, we're not watching that guy. We're watching his behavior. What kind of fuckery and word fuckery is this? I never in my fucking life heard of anything so stupid. This is MTA official saying this shit. We're not watching people, we're watching behavior. What in the actual fuck is going on here? Do they think we're that stupid? This is likely to move ahead off privacy concern, which often come when AI and surveillance are mentioned in the same breath. For now, the project remains a pilot phase. No detail have been shared about which tech companies are involved or when full deployment might occur. Still, the efforts raise some serious questions about ethics, accuracy, and the risk of overreaching. We're not watching you, man. We're watching how you're behaving. You're not a person. You are your behavior. My God, this is so stupid. This is the stupidest thing I've ever read. It isn't surprising that AI subway cameras popping up in New York. The only question is whether the system will make much of a difference, or if people will find it to be intrusive or invasion of their privacy. Here's the first step towards AI-powered drones watching our every move. This is where I have a problem. You do not have privacy when you are in a public setting. 86 that idea right away. You have no privacy when you're in the MTA subway system. You have no privacy when you're riding the bus. You have zero privacy when you are out on the street. I disagree with that sentiment so badly. People like, you're invading my privacy. Not when you're in the fucking street. You don't have any privacy. If you want to be private, go the fuck back home. That is your only sanctuary. That is where privacy lives. Your home. Not when you're in the street, not when you're in somebody's public building. You have no privacy. Anyway, guys, that was by far the dumbest thing I've ever read. We are not watching you, we're watching your behavior. My God, this is so stupid. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Nonetheless, they are going to come out with it. When the MTA puts this much money into something like that, they are undoubtedly going to go ahead with it. The fact that the article said they're unsure when it's coming out. I would say probably by later this year, if not next year. It's so stupid. And it's actually retarded that they said that. I mean, granted, listen, I don't think it's going to help because you have to have corresponding police officers on every platform for this to work. So that if somebody's being erratic, you could send the cops over there to stop the erraticy. That's not even a word. But you get my point. You have to have police officers on every platform in every train station. And that is just not going to happen in New York City. Anyway, guys, other than that, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching the Angry Prepper's Wednesday Midweek Report. I will see you guys tomorrow for the doubleheader. All right, guys? Good afternoon or good morning.